Hey guys, it's Josh here, and we're just going to talk about permaculture, what it is, and just a basic introduction to get us started. And we're here with Carol as well, and so we're just going to go through the basics of permaculture. Carol's been reading the Permaculture Design Manual by Bill Mollison, and so we're just going to talk about the first chapter in that, basically, just do a overview, kind of cement the ideas in so that we can have a good foundation to build on everything else. So what is it that you don't understand or do understand from your reading so far? Bearing in mind you only just read it and you're new to it all, so by all means just say whatever you got from it.
The first thing is it sinking in exactly what permaculture is, which is using nature, isn't it, and sort of mimicking nature to a degree, rather than adding things that are not from nature. Or do you have a short answer for what permaculture actually is?
So I describe permaculture as a design solution philosophy, so as an ecological problem-solving tool, basically. So,
To make the best out of what nature gives us.
well, so like everything that we see and everything that we do is nature.
Yes.
So it's how do we combine what everything that's around us and what we're doing, what we have access to, don't have access to, and how we can engage in it in a meaningful, active way that lifts up that as well as this.
Yes.
So that it's that intimate connection between the two that builds both up. And so that's the ecology, is the connections between, and then the design philosophy is kind of a process or a tools that we can use to go through any kind of design. And when I'm saying design, talking like problem solving. So any questions you have in life, any can be applied under permaculture, and permaculture kind of breaks it down, gives us a really easy step-by-step kind of way to go about thinking.
Yes. Like for the design, for example, the swales that you make. That's part of the design, because the water comes and we need to keep it where the plants are.
Yeah. And so it's one element in the whole ecology that needs to be aligned up with the rest of the ecology. So permaculture, so ecology and biology, very complex. Just the biology of us is so complex, and we've got the bacteria in us and all sorts of stuff going on, very complex. So permaculture breaks down an absolutely incredibly complex natural world for us into real simple bite-sized steps that we can just work through to solve any issue. So basically, regardless of whether or not you're in business, or you want to just grow in your garden, or you want to fix social, help your family, help your friends, like permaculture gives us these tools to align what resources we have out there, the wider environment, and what resources we have in here, the inner kind of environment, or the personal environment, and how do we blend those two together so that both of them are uplifted, supported, and can thrive. So the basics, I think, the very fundamental point of why we use permaculture, or the intention of how we can use permaculture, is that it gives us personal resilience and personal empowerment. So it gives us the tools to know how to act, know how to step, and the next follow steps. And it also then teaches. So that's at the core of it, is how do we personally become more resilient, more sustainable, more sure-footed in life.
Yes.
And on the flip side, we then go, well, evolution and science and all this information that we have, if we combine all this together, we can see that the organisms, the environments, the systems, the platforms, the machines that give us the most benefit and are able to sustain the longest period of time in benefit are the ones that are intimately connected with multiple elements. So the more elements that we put together, so a swale is an element, but a swale just by itself on a big flat land,
doesn't do any good.
So then permaculture teaches us how to look at the situation and how to apply it. So looking personally from how we act and we engage, and then looking external of all those connections that we are a part of. Connection between us and the sun and the plants and us and the soil and the plant. Right? There's just unlimited kind of connections going on, and so this is the complexity in it.
Pathways.
So how do we, exactly, lots of pathways, lots of options. How do we narrow it down into the option and the pathway that is best suited for us at this particular time and place? And so permaculture gives us that tool belt. And so by focusing on what we can do, completely empowering, by focus on connecting and cooperating completely in sync and harmony with building supporting systems, like a high-rise doesn't get built just because of one person or one thing. It's very complex, and the only way to do that is with lots of little things stacked up in the right way to make it happen. So permaculture teaches you that right way, and therefore from that right way you can do anything.
And I did read in the book actually where the name permaculture comes from. It's permanent agriculture. That's where
So, and then it's even it's broadened. So permanent agriculture is like kind of maybe a real starting point, but it's permanent culture.
Yes.
Permanent human culture.
Not just agriculture.
Yes. Permanent culture. So anything that we do, our personal culture, our family culture, our societal culture, our business culture, is the way that we interact and engage, is our culture. So permaculture is how do we get a permanent culture?
Yes.
And while everything changes, right? Everything is completely diverse and complex, that nothing is the same. And so permaculture teaches us of a culture of adaptation. The only thing that we can't stay sure-footed because things constantly change all the time. So permaculture teaches us how to take those steps with what's going on.
Yes.
And it uses science to back it up. It uses observational, practical knowledge to back itself up, and therefore it's not an airy-fairy thing. It is very much grounded in reality and what we can actually do. So then understanding that at its first point is personal, how we go, or how our organization, how our community goes, and then interacts with everything else around it. And linking those two is basically the fundamentals of permaculture, which leads us to the ethics.
Yes.
Which is people care, us, it's permanent culture. Well, humans, how do we create a permanent human culture on Earth? Well, we got to understand our place on Earth, and that humans have limitations and humans have great strengths, and we got to play to those. And that's constantly changing. Evolution is constantly changing. So we need to find that flow and live in that kind of harmony. And if we're living in that flow, in that harmony, well then we're going to be permanent. So the permanent is a permanent changing.
Yes.
The permanent changing is one that is caring for people. And then we understand that people intimately need their environment around us. Like I breathe air, I drink and eat food to sustain myself intimately every single day. So without food, I am nothing.
Yes.
I'll waste away. So to look after people, to truly look after people, well, I need good air, good water, and good food for this biology. And therefore, looking after the environment that creates this stuff for me, trees, oxygen, and trees and fungi and bacteria, cleaning the water sources for us, is all intimately a part of looking after people. So we can't have one without the other.
No.
We can't have people care if we're not actually giving people a nice environment.
Yes.
So understanding that truly my lungs support me and by taking the air, but the other bit is the air all around. So it's all connected, and understanding that connection. So people care is earth care.
Yes.
And when we understand that and we join them together into it, that's permaculture.
Right.
And so the three ethics, the three core kind of tenets that we work on is people care is earth care, and make sure that there's that fair share between them. And that is permaculture.
Right.
So if you can justify yourself, the environment that you're working in, that, okay, I'm at the environment when we do our analysis, when we do our observations, the environment is telling me this with this data point here, and here. Then we interact in that environment. So we understand ourselves to be a part of that. And so we don't just go in and go, hey, I have a plan to do this, and we just crush it through and slog it out. No, we have, well, I have a plan to do this. What does the environment tell me? Oh, the environment tells me that my plan is going to be better suited if I adapt it or change it or do this instead. So like we can say, for example, that if I'm growing a water-hungry crop, why would I go to an arid area where I'm not getting that natural rainfall and the ability to sustain this crop in that environment?
That's
So
right.
everything is situational, and how you do things is completely up to us to think it through and to adapt and thrive using the framework that true people care is earth care and true earth care is people care. And so it just got to be justified. If you're going to use chemicals, how are you using the chemicals? What's the breakdown time? Like, you know, what's the half-life on it? How is it dangerous?
How does it affect
Yeah, if
the
are you
environment?
are you going to be able to use that chemical, be able to then improve the environment and use that as part of the permaculture system? And if you can and you do your analysis and you can, well, permaculture doesn't limit you in any way.
Yes.
It limits you in the way that you really need to think of people care and earth care to really get that permanent, sustainable result.
Yes.
And so it's very flexible in that it understands that change management needs to go with it. That the steps, one step needs to come before another step. We can't just go, oh, we're polluting ridiculously, all our cars are putting out all these toxins all the time. Oh no, let's just all stop down cars.
No,
Like,
it doesn't work that way.
yeah, so it's what is the next thing? Okay, reduce and limit how much we need to use the car maybe.
Yes.
All right, no, so buy things more locally, or don't plan your trips better, carpool, public, there's lots of different things that we can do to slowly bring about this change. And so all it is just getting on these journeys of change.
Yes.
That we do want to have a change in the way that we use resources. We do want to have a change in the way that we constantly want to keep observing and looking.
Yes.
So then the next thing that permaculture gives us is 12 principles, 12 steps, but 12 principles that we can work through with any problem that we just go through. And we've touched on, just in this talking now, we've touched on multiple ones of these. So observe and interact. So before we go in, we want to actually see that
See what's happy and what's not happy.
see what we can actually get from the environment so that we can go with what the environment is already telling us.
Yes.
And that goes for any situation, not just growing. If you're going into a room of friends, like a circle of close friends, and you're the outsider, well, what, do you just go in and like blaze that, or do you actually get a feel for how other people are and what that group's about?
Yes.
So that would be permaculture, right? We observe and interact. So another one of these 12s is create a feedback loop. Is that you want to be able to, so if you're going to wake up and have a drink or have your breakfast, well, sit outside, and that way you can do you can feel the day, you can see and have the feedback as a part of your daily routine.
Yes.
So create a feedback loop in anything that you're doing, so that you know how it's going, and that you can kind of tweak it as you go. And here's the tweaking as you go is slow and small. Use slow and small solutions, because over time things change, and what is small and slow for you today is not necessarily tomorrow. You have the experience today. A kid, when we're learning how to read or when we're learning how to talk, we start with sounds. The sounds slowly start to become legible to some kind of understanding, and then we add meaning to it. It's like stepping, but then the end result of the talking needed the whole process, and now talking is not slow or small or anything like, learning a new word when you already know 1,000 is easier, but learning, now if we had to learn another language, learning 100 words of that language, difficult, but as we do. So as you get experience, as you build resources, as you build more knowledge, that slow and small it's sped up relative to your ability.
Yes.
Yeah, so someone who's an expert in the field for 10 years, their slow and small solutions are going to be bigger than someone who's just starting out in any particular area, but it's still following the same principle. Yeah, so slow and small things, they're sustainable. Big, fast grabs, they're not thought through properly. There's holes in it. Old mining things are putting all toxins in a dam right next to it, and then we get burst out of the dam. They go and pollute the waterways. This is short-term thinking. They wanted to go in and
get it done straight
and get
away.
it done. And so if they were more slow and and did smaller step by step, they would understand the benefit of having the regeneration process and having, linking up with other plants and other things to be able to handle this material, so that we don't produce waste. And that's another principle: no waste. Yeah, we
definitely with plants you have to learn patience, don't you? Because they don't grow overnight. That's for sure. So.
Yeah. Exactly, acceptance
Yeah.
is that if you're not then being patient with the plant, well then you're not observing and interacting. You're interacting and then hoping that that's not going to work, right? Everything else works on its own time, and no matter how much I want the day length to be longer so that I can do more or whatever, it's just not going to happen. So I can either keep dreaming and pretending that today's the day that I'm going to get another hour, or I can work with what I actually got.
Yes.
And it's fundamental that we actually just accept what we've got.
Yes.
We can have, dream big,
Every day at a time. Yeah.
act small.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
introduction to permaculture.
Yep.
What's your nice, simple? What's your takedown now of it? You basically had it at the beginning as well, but has talking through this clarified any points?
Yeah, absolutely, and more bringing us into the picture as well. Prior to me, permaculture was more about plants rather than people, but now I can see that it is the combination of us and the plants, because we do have to live together, don't we? We want to live together happily. So just making it all happen between humans and the earth, and everybody becoming happy.
Yeah, cool. Well,
self-sustained.
And so us and the plants, that's just one element, right? Plants are just one element in that, and so it's
Us.
You can see it's breaking down a very complex thing and making it easy and simple for us, and that's the
by
beauty
just
of it.
starting simple. By just not wanting to be at the end step before you do the first other 50 steps or something. So
So it really is.
Start small.
It teaches. This is the full philosophy kind of thing. Is that it's a philosophy grounded in truth. So it's like it uses science. It's not off wishes and hopes and voodoo.
No,
it's on very grounded, actionable stuff.
Yes.
And what's the point of having a plan if you can't enact it?
Yes.
It's just so realistic, very realistic, and it just keeps punching home that realism of we're trying to create a permanent culture for all humanity, and that benefits everyone if we do it in truth. We get these false notions of sustainability and security sometimes, and permaculture wants to do away with that and understand that basically that connection with our surrounds is absolutely fundamental to our sustainability. So how do we break that down? Because it's very complex. Yeah. So that brings in, after this introduction, the first thing getting into permaculture to practice is our observation skills. So we really want to target in on our concentration on what is actually happening within ourselves and our feelings and our thoughts, but also outside of ourselves. So in gardening we can easily see seasons, like when is stuff flowering, when is fruiting, when is insects coming, birds, etc. But we also, when thoughts, is there someone cut us off in the car and we get angry straight away. Well, we can't stop people from doing that kind of stuff. So that's the observation in the reality, is that we can't stop it. So then us getting angry at it is completely our choice on something that is potentially inevitable and that we can't stop. And therefore, is that a good use of our energy?
And it's already done.
It's already done?
They've already cut you off.
Yeah, and this is where the observation is very important. We need to observe all this stuff because it gives us a base on then where to act now, where to focus our energy and our attention. We can't just change everything tomorrow. It's, okay, well, this needs to be done today. This is the biggest priority now. And so permaculture gives us the next step. There's so many steps that we can take. Which one? Well, permaculture, this is take the yellow path. It lights up yellow.
Yeah.
Yellow. It just gives us, and then once you get into it, easy.
Yeah.
Then you can run it. You can do whatever. But it gives us that next step by allowing us to understand the questions we need to kind of understand. And once we go through and we understand those questions for any particular issue, we get a more holistic, information, that is grounded in reality, that we can act on in truth, being that we can act on and achieve in reality. So we have specific measurable goals of where we want to act, and they're realistic. We can actually do them. And therefore, we're not constantly, oh, I have this beautiful idea of my garden looking like this, which is just a complete impossibility because you're selecting species that will just never work. Or that is not used for how well you want to manage the garden. And we can see it so clearly that so many people put in so much stuff, again, in terms of gardening, and they do it in their lives too. We put in so much stuff thinking that we can manage it, that, you know, our beautiful tropical rainforest garden is going to look like the resorts that we went to, but we don't have the hours every week to put into that kind of garden.
And often the dollars as well, there's big money that goes into
Exactly, but we do it anyway.
Thinking that it's
going to work, and we end up just completely working ourselves off. We put on too much on our plate. We think that we can be the best parents, the best career people, the best community members, the best. Like, we can if we start to at the basics and start to understand, well, what does that actually mean? What is the actual fundamentals, and work from there. Yeah. So then the next thing, observation, and seeing how we interact. So we just want to get that observation down packed. And so good tools and techniques if you're not already meditating. So meditation is very scientific, backed on improving our concentration. So we can do active meditation by, you know, going for walks in the bush, going for walks out, and just feeling the sensations, observing the thoughts, observing the feelings, and just seeing what happens. Like when we're walking, like, you know, uneven ground, how does that feel on your feet? So focusing on one particular thing to the exclusion of all else. So if we're walking, we're focusing on walking. Right? We're not...
So clearing your mind to a degree that...
we just want to observe. So let everything pass. Don't glap onto it and go, oh, that's interesting, I'm walking and like there's ground changes. No, just the ground's changed. That's enough. And keep doing that. So very first thing, and this helps us in our gardening, because, all right, is that a drop mulch species? Is that a fruit species? Is that something that's ready for taking cuttings? Is that ready for harvesting? Is that, you know, you've got to line up all these things to know your priorities. When is it that you need to do? Because these are complex systems. If you just think that you can just come in and treat it as if it's a black and white system, then you're going to mismanage it, and you're not going to get the benefit for your effort. And we're really maximizing your input and your output ratio. You know, just like how in farming we go so many inputs to get out the fruit or whatever it is, or how much fertilizer we need to get this kind of level of crop. All the same in our lives. How much input do we need to be able to get the best out? And so observe first, and then we'll interact in the reality of our observations. We're not going to take for granted that we know. We're going to assume that we don't know. Unless we've seen it, unless it's been, like, you know, scientifically backed up and we have the evidence to support our understanding of it, we're not going to just accept things. So when someone calls us an idiot, we're not going to accept that on face value. We're going to analyze it, we're going to observe it and go, oh yeah, I am an idiot.
I did that, yes. And that must be stupid.
Exactly. And then, because we know that in truth that's the reality, we're going to be able to act now in a much more sustainable way, which means we're not going to distance that friend. We're going to go, oh, thank you. Like, thank you to bringing that to my attention. And isn't that going to be a much more sustainable relationship over time? So permaculture can be used for anything and everything. So it's so broad. It's just such an amazing tool. So observe and interact is going to be our next thing.
Observe, interact.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thanks.